Here's a huge key to success. Understand that it's not just what you do during the day that matters. It's what you do in those quiet hours when the day is winding down that can shape your future just as much. Those moments before sleep, they're powerful. The day is done, the rush is over, but this is when successful people really set themselves apart. It's how they close out the day that helps them start the next one on the right foot. Successful people have habits, disciplines, routines. But it's not just about what happens when the sun's up. It's about what they do right before they turn off the lights. What happens in those last few moments before their head hits the pillow. Why is this important? Your night routine can be just as critical as your morning routine. The decisions you make before bed can either set you up for a productive, powerful tomorrow or leave you scrambling, stressed, and behind. The goal is to lay the foundation for the next day, while also ensuring that you rest well, recharge, and rejuvenate. But I'm telling you, none of this happens by accident. Success never comes from luck or happiness. It comes from being intentional, from knowing what's important and making sure you give it your time and energy. So, what are those things that successful people do before they go to bed? What are the habits that allow them to wake up with clarity, focus, and energy, ready to take on the day with full force? Let's dive into those routines, those disciplines, and understand how you can implement them in your life. Because when you start shaping your evenings with success in mind, you'll begin to see a whole new level of results. The first thing successful people do before bed is they review their day. They take the time to reflect on what they accomplished, what went well, and what could have been done better. Now, this isn't some long, drawn-out process. It's not about dwelling on mistakes or wishing things had gone differently. No, it's about gaining clarity. When you take just a few minutes to go over the events of your day, you give yourself the chance to learn. And learning is what makes the difference. It's about being honest with yourself. Did you hit your goals for the day? Did you manage your time well? Did you give your best effort in everything you did? You've got to ask yourself these questions, because if you don't, you'll never know where you stand. Most people go to bed without a thought about what they did that day, and they wake up just as unprepared for the next one. But successful people, those who are really serious about improving, they don't leave these things to chance. You might think that reviewing your day sounds simple, and it is, but that's where the power lies. It's in the simplicity of the act. Just a few minutes of reflection can provide a tremendous amount of insight. Maybe you notice that you spent too much time on distractions, or you realize that you didn't follow through on a key commitment. That's okay. The goal isn't to beat yourself up over it. It's to recognize it and adjust. Think of it this way. Every day is a stepping stone toward the future you're building. If you don't stop to look back and evaluate your progress, how will you know if you're moving in the right direction? Successful people take that time to review because they understand that the road to success is paved with awareness and improvement. They know that by recognizing what went well and what didn't, they can make better decisions tomorrow. And this reflection doesn't just stop at work or business. It's not just about looking at your to-do list and seeing if you crossed off all the tasks. No, this goes deeper. It's about relationships, health, mindset. Did you spend quality time with your family? Did you take care of your body? Did you maintain a positive attitude even in challenging situations? These are the kinds of questions you want to be asking yourself because they shape the overall quality of your life. Now, after reviewing the day, successful people don't stop there. They take that insight and use it to plan for tomorrow. Reflection without action doesn't lead to change. You've got to be willing to take what you've learned and use it to make the next day better. This habit of nightly review helps successful people stay on course. It helps them correct mistakes before they become habits, and it keeps them focused on what really matters. Here's the key. When you review your day, you have to be objective. Don't let emotions cloud your judgment. This isn't about feeling guilty for what you didn't do. It's about understanding why it didn't happen and figuring out how to fix it. Did you procrastinate? Did you let distractions pull you away from your priorities? Be honest, but be fair to yourself too. The goal is progress, not perfection. Now, if you make this a nightly habit, you'll start to see patterns. You'll notice that certain things keep showing up, both the good and the bad. And once you're aware of those patterns, you can start to change them. That's where the real power comes in. Reflection isn't just about looking back. So tonight, before you go to bed, take a few minutes to review your day. Ask yourself the tough questions. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? What can I improve tomorrow? And as you do this consistently, you'll find that your days become more intentional, your actions more aligned with your goals, and your results will start to reflect that effort. Successful people understand that every day is an opportunity to get better, but it all starts with reflection. Now, I'm telling you, once you make this a habit, you'll feel a sense of control over your life that you may not have felt before. You'll stop drifting from one day to the next, and you'll start living with purpose, with direction. That's what it means to review your day. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. So remember, the first thing successful people do before bed is they take the time to review their day. They learn from it, they adjust, and they prepare to make tomorrow even better. It's a simple habit, but like most simple things, it can make a world of difference if you commit to it. Success is built on these kinds of small, consistent actions. It's not the grand gestures, it's the daily disciplines. The second thing successful people do before bed is they plan for tomorrow. Now, planning, it's not something that just happens on its own. It takes intention, effort, and clarity of mind. But I'm telling you, successful people understand that if you want to win the day, you've got to start the night before. They don't leave tomorrow to chance. They craft it, they mold it, and they do it before their head hits the pillow. Here's what you have to remember. The mind is an incredible tool, but it's also like a sponge. If you leave your mind soaking in chaos, if you go to bed with worries, with an unorganized agenda, you wake up with the same mess. The night is a powerful time for setting your subconscious on the right track. Successful people know that when they take a few minutes to plan for the next day, they're actually telling their mind what to work on while they sleep. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I'm too tired to plan tomorrow before bed. But here's the thing. Successful people don't wait until they feel like it to plan. They make it a discipline because they know that failing to plan is planning to fail. It's not just a saying, it's the truth. If you wake up in the morning without a clear plan, you spend half your day trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And by the time you've got it sorted, half the day is already gone. So, what do successful people do? They don't wait until the chaos of the morning to decide what's important. They decide the night before. They take a few minutes to look at their goals, to assess what needs to get done, and they lay it all out. They make decisions in advance. And because of that, when the morning comes, they're ready to hit the ground running. Now, here's an important distinction. Planning for tomorrow doesn't mean filling up your day with busy work. No. Successful people don't plan every minute just to stay busy. They plan strategically. They ask themselves, what are the most important things I need to accomplish tomorrow? What are the high-impact activities that will move me closer to my goals? It's about prioritizing, not just making a list of things to do. Too many people confuse activity with achievement. They think, if I'm busy, I must be making progress. But successful people know better. They know that busyness is not the same as productivity. So when they plan for tomorrow, they focus on the few things that matter most, the tasks that will have the biggest impact, the projects that align with their long-term vision. Imagine you've got a goal to grow your business, or improve your health, or build a stronger relationship. Now, there are 100 things you could do tomorrow, but not all of them will move the needle. Successful people understand this. They know they can't do everything, but they can do the most important things. And that's what they plan for. So they take a look at their long-term goals and they ask themselves, what can I do tomorrow that will bring me closer to achieving this goal? They focus on progress, not perfection. And because they've planned ahead, they can go to sleep with a clear mind, knowing that they're prepared for whatever the next day brings. And I'm telling you, planning doesn't just stop at work or business. It's about the whole day. Successful people plan their personal time too. They don't leave their health or their relationships to chance. They make time for their workouts, their family, their hobbies, because they understand that success is about balance. If you let one area of your life fall apart, it eventually affects everything else. So they make sure that their plans for tomorrow include time for all the important areas of life. Now, here's the beauty of planning. When you plan for tomorrow before bed, you relieve yourself of decision fatigue. You don't wake up stressed, wondering what you're supposed to do or where to start. You've already decided. You've already taken the time to prioritize. And that frees up your mental energy to focus on execution. You get out of bed with purpose, with clarity. And that's how successful people are able to be so effective. I remember a time when I first started implementing this habit, planning the night before. I found that just a few minutes of thought in the evening made a tremendous difference in how my day unfolded. I wasn't scrambling in the morning, trying to figure out what to focus on. Instead, I had a plan. And I'm telling you, when you have a plan, you move with confidence. You act with intention, and that changes everything. It's also important to mention that successful people stay flexible with their plans. You know, life can throw you curveballs. No matter how well you plan, things can come up. But because they've taken the time to plan ahead, they can adapt. They can adjust without losing sight of what's most important. Planning gives you that ability. It gives you structure, but it also gives you the freedom to pivot when necessary. So, here's the takeaway. If you want to be successful, if you want to achieve your goals, you can't afford to just wing it every day. You've got to be intentional. You've got to take control of your time. And the best time to do that is before you go to bed. It doesn't take long, just a few minutes to map out your priorities, to decide what's important, and to set yourself up for success. That's what successful people do. They don't leave tomorrow to chance. They don't wake up unprepared. They plan, they prioritize, and because of that, they're able to get more done in a day than most people do in a week. And it all starts the night before. The third thing successful people do before bed is they disconnect. Now, this one might seem simple, but I'm telling you, it's a game changer. In today's world, it's easy to stay connected to everything all the time. But here's what successful people know. There's a time to be connected, and there's a time to be unplugged. Why is this so important? Because your mind needs rest. And I'm not just talking about sleep. Your mind needs time away from the noise, time to relax, reset, and recharge. If you're constantly plugged into the world, you never give yourself the chance to step back and breathe. And that kind of constant connection can wear you down over time. Successful people understand that if you want to perform at your best, you've got to disconnect from time to time, especially before bed. Here's something to think about. When you're connected, when you're always checking emails or watching some late night TV, your mind is still working. It's still processing, still reacting, still engaged. And that makes it harder to unwind at the end of the day. You might think that spending those last few minutes before bed, catching up on the news or checking messages is harmless, but it's not. It keeps your mind running, and it makes it harder for you to settle down and get the quality rest you need. Successful people know this, so they make it a habit to disconnect before bed. They create a buffer zone between their waking life and their sleep. And that buffer is critical because it gives their minds the time to shift gears. They understand that if they want to wake up refreshed, ready to take on the day, they can't stay connected to the world until the very last minute. Now, disconnecting doesn't just mean turning off your devices. It also means mentally and emotionally unplugging from the day's stresses. We live in a fast-paced world, and it's easy to carry the weight of the day with you into the night. But successful people make a conscious decision to let go of those stresses before they go to bed. They understand that worrying about work or problems or the future while you're trying to sleep doesn't solve anything. It only makes it harder to get the rest you need. There's a story I like to share about a lumberjack. He was strong, fast, and eager to prove himself. Every day, he would chop and chop and chop. But as the days went on, he noticed that he was cutting down fewer and fewer trees. He couldn't figure it out. He was working harder than ever. But his results were diminishing. Finally, someone told him, "You've got to sharpen your axe." You see, no matter how strong you are, no matter how fast you can swing, if your tools are dull, you're not going to be effective. Well, the same is true for your mind. If you don't take the time to disconnect, to sharpen your mental axe, you'll find yourself working harder, but getting less done. Successful people know that to be sharp, to be clear, to be effective, they've got to take time to rest. And that rest starts with disconnecting from the constant stream of information. When they unplug, they're sharpening their tools for the next day. They're giving their minds a chance to refresh, to process everything that happened during the day, and to prepare for tomorrow. Now, some people might say, "But I need to check my emails before bed. What if something important comes up?" Well, here's the thing. Successful people understand that most things can wait until morning. In fact, they know that responding to an email late at night might not be the best decision. Why? because they're tired. And when you're tired, your decision-making suffers. Successful people set boundaries around their work time and their rest time. They understand that by disconnecting, they're not missing out. They're actually preparing themselves to handle things better the next day. And I'm telling you, there's a peace that comes from disconnecting before bed. When you step away from the noise, you give yourself the chance to be still. You give your mind the opportunity to settle. And in that stillness, you can find clarity. You can think more deeply, reflect more clearly, and rest more completely. Successful people value this time because they know that real creativity, real insight often comes when the mind is at rest, not when it's constantly bombarded with information. Now, I'm not saying you need to disconnect for hours. Even just 30 minutes before bed can make a big difference. Take that time to be present, to reflect, or just to relax. You'll notice how much more rested you feel, how much sharper your mind is when you wake up. Successful people also use this time to reconnect with themselves. It's a time to recharge the mind and the spirit. It's a way to close out the day on a positive note, rather than with the frantic energy that often comes from staying plugged in until the last second. So here's the takeaway. If you want to perform at your best, you've got to disconnect before bed. Your mind needs rest, and that rest doesn't just come from sleep. It comes from giving yourself time away from the constant barrage of information. Successful people understand this. They know that by disconnecting, they're sharpening their tools, preparing themselves to tackle the next day with energy, focus, and clarity. Give yourself some time to unplug before bed. You'll wake up feeling more refreshed, more focused, and ready to take on the day. And that's one of the habits that sets successful people apart. They know when to connect, and they know when to disconnect. The fourth thing successful people do before bed is practice gratitude. Now, this might sound simple, but don't underestimate its power. I'm telling you, the attitude of gratitude, it's one of the most important habits you can develop, not just for success, but for a life filled with joy, peace, and fulfillment. Successful people know this. They understand that the mindset you take with you to bed is the mindset you wake up with. And gratitude, that's the key to unlocking a positive, abundant mindset. Think about it. The last thing you focus on before you fall asleep has a way of lingering in your mind throughout the night. If you go to bed stressed, anxious, or worried, chances are you'll wake up feeling the same way. But when you take a moment to reflect on what you're grateful for, you shift your mindset. You end the day on a high note, and you prime yourself to wake up with a sense of appreciation, optimism, and motivation. Now, why is this so important for success? Because success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about how you feel along the way. Too many people chase success thinking it's the key to happiness, but successful people know the truth. Happiness is what fuels success. And happiness begins with gratitude. When you're grateful for what you have, you create a positive, abundant mindset that attracts more good things into your life. It's the law of attraction in action. But I'm telling you, gratitude doesn't come naturally to everyone. It's a practice. It's a discipline. And like any discipline, the more you do it, the better you get. Successful people make it a habit to end their day by reflecting on the things they're grateful for, no matter how big or small. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you take the time to notice it and appreciate it. So what if you had a terrible day? Nothing went right. Well, here's the thing about gratitude. It's not about finding perfection in every day. It's about finding the good, even in the midst of challenges. Even on the hardest days, there's something to be grateful for. Even if it's just the fact that you made it through the day, there's always something. And here's the beauty of it. Gratitude doesn't just make you feel good in the moment. It actually changes the way you see the world. When you practice gratitude regularly, you start to notice more things to be grateful for. You shift your focus from what's wrong to what's right. You stop dwelling on problems and start seeing possibilities. And that shift in perspective is one of the most powerful tools for success. Successful people don't live in a world where everything goes perfect all the time. No, they face challenges, setbacks, and failures, just like everyone else. But the difference is in how they respond to those challenges. They don't let negativity take root. They don't dwell on what's missing. Instead, they focus on what they have, on what's working, and on the progress they're making. And that mindset of gratitude allows them to keep moving forward, even in tough times. Learn to be thankful for what you already have while you pursue all that you want. That stuck with me. Because too often we get caught up in the pursuit, always looking ahead, always wanting more. But the key is to find contentment and gratitude in the present, even as you work toward your goals. That's the balance that successful people strike. They're grateful for what they have, but they're also hungry for more. Gratitude fuels their ambition, not because they're lacking something, but because they're excited about the possibilities. Now, successful people don't wait for everything to be perfect before they practice gratitude. They understand that gratitude is the seed, not the result. They know that by cultivating gratitude in the present, they're setting the stage for future success. It's not about waiting for the big win before you feel grateful. It's about feeling grateful along the journey. So, how can you start practicing this habit? It's simple. Before you go to bed tonight, take a moment to reflect on your day. Think about the things you're grateful for. And don't just focus on the big things. Look for the small moments too. The more specific you can be, the better. Whatever it is, acknowledge it, appreciate it, and let that feeling of gratitude sink in. And here's something else. Successful people don't just keep their gratitude to themselves. They express it. They make it a point to let the people in their lives know how much they appreciate them. Whether it's a colleague, a family member, or a friend, they take the time to say thank you. Because they understand that gratitude strengthens relationships, builds trust, and fosters a positive environment. And those relationships, they're a key ingredient in long-term success. So, here's the takeaway. If you want to end your day like a successful person, practice gratitude. It's one of the simplest yet most powerful habits you can develop. It will change the way you see the world, it will boost your mood, and it will set you up for success tomorrow. Remember, gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a discipline. It's something you can choose no matter what's happening in your life. And when you make that choice consistently, you'll find that success follows. The fifth thing successful people do before bed is they visualize their success. Now, this is a powerful practice that goes beyond just thinking about goals. Successful people don't just set goals. They see themselves achieving those goals. They create a vivid mental picture of what success looks like. And they do this regularly. especially before bed. Why? Because what you think about and focus on before you go to sleep has a way of influencing your subconscious mind, shaping your thoughts and actions when you wake up.